Scott. Hey.
I'm doing good, Andy. Happy Thursday.
Yeah. Happy Thursday to you too. And I want to thank everybody for coming in, taking time out of your afternoon to joining us on this Trading Studio Thursday. And I'm glad to see that we have a lot of unsubscribed folks in here today. So I'm going to spend some time showing you guys some cool software along with Jamie. He's going to be a huge help, and we're going to show you how you can find opportunity in this incredible software that we have. And let's just get moving forward. And before we do, let's go over to the disclaimer here and just let everybody know that this is for educational purposes only. Okay, we're going to show some neat content and some nice top list and alert windows to you, but nothing you see here should be construed as investment advice. Okay, if that's what you're seeking, please look for an IRA or an RIA or a registered broker. All right, moving forward, let's talk a little bit more about ideas. And I just want to really accent this part because a lot of places, and trust me, I've been trading for 19 years. I've used a lot of software, and for the most part, they would throw me some software, maybe a little how-to manual, and that was it. And you get much more here at Trade Ideas. We really pride ourselves. I call it 5-star support, education, and training. And it's huge because it is a very powerful software, and there's so much you can do with it. And that's why we provide you with 4 webinars a week and then a podcast on Fridays. And not only that, we just added a Friday support session where we spend 3 hours with myself, Jamie, and Steve, where if anybody's having any problems or something you can't do, hey, come in there and ask us a question. It's the same format as you see here, where you ask a question and we can show you on our desktop. So it's been a great success for the first couple of weeks, and got one coming up tomorrow. So, and that's not just for people using the product. I mean, you guys who are coming in here kicking the tires, you will get an invite to this as well. So come out and you can learn a lot more about the software. But other than that, we have, as you see there on the left side, 4 webinars throughout the week, and I'm not going to go over each one, but we also have a trading room. And boy, this is, if you've never been in there, get in there. It's free for everybody. You don't have to be a subscriber. It's moderated by Barry Honorson, and he does an incredible job of showing you the software as he navigates the market and makes trades live. And not only that, there's about 500 other and some really good traders in there. So if you haven't been to that trading room, get in there for please. And one last thing, when you subscribe to Trade Ideas, you get a free 101 training session. We call it the Hour of Power training session. This is a $99 value, and you get it for free when you subscribe. And basically, it's 1 hour with myself, Jamie, or Steve, and boy, we take any angle you want to. As a matter of fact, I have a lady dentist I did one with the other day, and she's new to trading, and she took the first session to just learn more about how to create alerts and how to set up her default layout and all that thing, and then she immediately turned around and bought a $99 paid training for 2 weeks down the road, because she's paper trading right now and she wants to have a lesson, before she goes into live trading. And I think that's very wise, and I think a lot of people could benefit by taking that route. All right, let's look at our agenda today. We're going to go over the market recap as we always do, and then we're going to talk about the Holly recap. And then I'm going to show you some old school trading using Trade Ideas. I mentioned that I've been trading for 19 years. I'm user number 40 with Trade Ideas. So when I first started trading, I really learned how to look at sectors, find out what was relatively strong for the day, and then I would know at least probably the top 5 or 6, sometimes 10 stocks in that sector, and I could just pop them up real quick and find opportunity in the marketplace. But now with Trade Ideas, it makes it so much easier because it will show you the levels of opportunity, and this is going to be a great segment today, because you're going to see how in the first 30 minutes of the day it just kind of laid out for you on our software. and it's using basically 3 alerts and sector strength, and so we'll go through that. And then I got a little treat for you guys who like the sector analysis top list. I've taken it one step further, and I'll just save that for the end there, and we'll talk about that. But for right now, let me back out of this and let's talk about the market here. And for those of you guys who are new, what we usually do is just go over mostly the spiders, but we will talk about the Qs and the diamonds as well. Interesting day. Boy, the way we started out, I really thought, and let me just put this on a 15-minute chart real quick to kind of show you kind of what happened here. Well, we had some really good strength today in the big pharma, biotech. And why is this not coming up? Can you hear me, Jamie?
I can hear you just fine, Andy.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure because let me
try this. Try to right-click, duplicate it, and see if that duplicate populates.
Let me see. Let me use. There we go.
All right.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. All right. Let me put this one back on a daily. It scared me there because I'm over here in East Texas, and we got a tropical storm going right over me, man. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose anything. So let me put that back on the daily there. And yeah, spiders, boy, it took off today. It went kind of sideways for about an hour, and then it took off. Led by the biotech and the solar sector and big pharma, and boy, the close there was just really ugly. The last basically 45 minutes we sold off pretty hard and pretty much flat on the day. You could pull up the Qs. They were held up a little bit better because of the strength in the biotech sector. You can see the Qs actually maybe setting up for a move tomorrow possibly, because it did try to pop out of that range, and you got a nice little spinning top there. But not a whole lot to talk about, as far as the overall sector goes. But boy, that did not mean there was not a lot of opportunity. If you were just to look at the Qs and the spiders today on the daily chart, you'd be thinking, so-so day, ho-hum, whatever you want to say there. But nonetheless, there was a lot of opportunity in the market. We're going to go over that with you today. But nonetheless, let's talk about it. We have this range here in the spiders, okay, that we really probably want to hold on to. These levels right here, we kind of in a range. And I think, as far as getting any real momentum, you're going to have to see something be violated to the downside or breaking out to the top in the spiders. The Qs, like I drew several months or several weeks back, we have this trend line. I'm not going to draw it in right now just for the sake of time. But for the most part, you can see this trend line. I'm not sure what happened to it, but that's what you want to watch. If you have trend lines on your charts, if you have the product, you do. But if you're not using trade ideas and you have it on your execution platform, draw a trend line right there. And if that violates that trend line, you gotta be beware there. But that's about all. Jamie, do you have anything to add? We have so much good stuff to talk about today. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on the market recap.
Right. No, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and, it seems like the market's finally kind of absorbing the rebalancing that occurred not too long ago when we had that little swoon in the Qs. Back into the range, which I think, hey, there's nothing wrong with a nice range-bound market in the summer. Maybe we get that, maybe we don't. Sure hasn't been like all the other summers. They seem like they're real volatile. But, hey, if we get in that little upper channel and stay there, even better, because there will be plenty of things to trade in that channel.
Exactly, and we're still in a baton being passed market. I mean, you'll see money coming out of retail, technology, running into solars today, and IBB's been obviously really hot the last 4 days. Even GDX had a little bounce today, and the other day, Qs were showing weakness, and the Dow and the spiders were pretty strong. Now you look in the last 4 or 5 days, you got the Qs picking up steam, and you got the spiders and the diamonds kind of rolling over here in the last 4 or 5 days. So, but still right in the middle of the range. You know, there's certain levels you got to watch there. But I'm going to move on to the Holly, because that's about enough of the market. We got too much good stuff here to cover today.
Yep, no worries.
So Jamie, I think now would be the time, yeah, for you to take the wheel, bro.
Let me grab that baton. Let me know when you have eyes on over here.
I got it.
Okay, cool. All right, so number one, wow, what a trade count from Holly today. I think she banged out about right at 38 trades. And mixed results. Risk on would not have been the way to go today. After risk off was all said and done on that, rather large amount of trades, Holly's only up 59 cents. So the statistical model, what was that telling us today? A lot of stat noise in the marketplace today. Now, this is coming off the heels of yesterday that Holly pretty much put on a show, and it was up nicely. So to see the performance kind of stall out here, not to be completely unexpected, but man, some of the plays that she brought to our attention today, well, there's just opportunity there that you can't necessarily see anywhere on these screens. And wow, you haven't seen a blotter this pack in quite a while. And if I just kind of sort by the first trades this morning, you can see nothing really fired until about 13, 14 minutes in. Then you had a little 15-minute void or so. And then, boy, she just started piling on mainly longs today and had even a few shorts woven in there. And, of course, one of the trades that we're going to talk about is this ABBV, because those of you who attend regularly and kind of are up to speed on the whole turbo breaks family of alerts and the simple range breaks that we've been using to identify these really nice entries on the intraday, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you're new today. I'll try to do my best to make sure I explain it as comprehensively as I can. But that kind of makes me think back to one of the comparisons that we compare Holly to all the time, because some of you may think, if you've never seen a statistical AI model before, a lot of people think, well, it's a thing that you have to follow verbatim, when in all actuality what we've created with Holly is very unique, but it's utilizing the statistics to give us the highly probable entries that could work out well. But there's a lot of things to observe as well. One of the things we compare this thing to is a fellow trader in an office. And, Andy, myself, Steve, Dan, of course we show our age a little bit, but we all started trading back in the 90s when you had to go to an office and there was always a guy in there that probably wasn't the best trader and would get stuck in a trade. For example, it was a short and it just wouldn't go down. All the while that potential energy for a reversal is building, the longer and longer it doesn't go. And then so what do you and your buddies over here do? You take the opposite side of the trade because you were given information from a source. This happens to be a person. So you took the counter, all right? And we're going to have a good example of that today, and it's unique because I've never seen this since Holly's inception. And by the way, she's just about 1.5 years old now. And boy, she's growing up fast. So let's take a look. Now, I had a pretty large complement of strategies to start the show today. 12 strategies. We could see 3 of those were long, the rest were, 3 were short, the rest were long. This guy kind of went very active today. Came in the day at 54%, kind of underperformed after 10 trades at 50%. And kind of just a mix of different performances here. A little underperformance here, a little overperformance here. But let's take a look. And by the way, before we take a look at some of these specific trades, individual trades, just want to circle back around once again to this P&L that we see right here. So risk off, not something that you pick before the day starts, just showing you 2 different data sets. Holly obeying her rule set, meaning simply sticking to her profit targets, stop losses, timed holds. This was how her P&L progressed for the day. We had some pretty wild vacillations, negative, all the way to a spike up, but never really could catch any traction green until the latter part of the day here. And of course, I always like to draw the parallels that we can use this just like a chart. And you know what this reminds me of right here, Andy, is the 15-minute, the opening 5, 10, 15-minute wicks that some of these stocks put in. This just kind of messes the chart up. Had it been down here when we saw Holly's performance bust above that line, that would have given us the clue, hey, a lot of statistical noise for this first part of the session. In other words, if we were a ship out in the ocean, a big sailboat, we would have been pretty much in the doldrums. We've got our sails up, but there's just no wind.
Right.
Now, had this big spike not occurred and we could have used this nice level area right here, when we breach that area right there, well, guess what? That's when the wind picks up. That's when trading can be a lot more conducive than back here in the noisy area. So when we see the AI struggling here, that gives us information on how to temper our expectations, for any trade that we might be in moving forward. Of course, risk off kind of told the story, one little brief to the upside and then whoosh, and pretty much down for the day. So risk on is just showing you what would have happened had you held all of the positions all day. Now, we can address risk off and risk on a trade-by-trade basis. So here we are looking at the entire blotter. Just want to give everybody a snapshot. Risk off, all of our winning trades. Risk off, all of our losing trades. So pretty much just a little better than flat today. Now let's focus on some of the things that, as I like to say, what's not represented in a column here. But take note of these columns here, the risk off and the risk on. And notice on this first trade right here, double click on Z and we'll check this trade out. But before we look at the mechanics of the chart, just want to point out risk off, Holly takes 26 cents. Why did she get out of this trade? Well, the time stop came up and that's what she's programmed to do. So she books 26 cents obeying a rule set. Now we can see here after she gets out, and we can see 7 o'clock to 8:01 Pacific Standard Time. So she got out pretty much right about here. Didn't top ticket, of course. Gets out about right here. And then we take a little pullback and we eventually go higher. Now keep in mind the stop loss for this trade is right down here. Never really acted like it was in a bunch of danger of encroaching on that stop loss, and that's what we have them for. That's the risk on our trade. So in essence, when Holly's getting out, we can make a decision. Let's get out with her, or we think that this thing has higher potential and we're going to stay in. And if we make the decision to stay in when she's getting out, that's us deciding to go risk on. And in this case, yeah, you would have sat a little pullback, but eventually, whoosh, off to the races and upwards and onwards. So had you held the trade all day, $1.15, playing by all these hard and fast rules, 26 cents. Now, I like to try to play the spread here. There's a nice fat spread between 26 cents and $1.15. So easiest way to get used to this methodology is do a little bit of both. Holly's getting out right here. If you're in 100 shares, pop out at 50. Keep the original 50. Put a stop loss at the entry price and say, okay, I'm taking my money on the first lot, whether it's 50 or 100. I'm going to give the other one back to a flat. If it does stop me out, I flat that. I make the money on the first lot. And you can see would have come real close if you used the entry price as your stop loss, but no dice, no stop out, and you would have gotten that second push and gotten a nice piece of this spread here. All right, so that's the Z. And once again, looking at the on support, we might want to take a look at, we can always eyeball the daily. And, when that thing was wicking down, it was just butting up nicely against that prior daily candle. And what a nice little fill. We didn't get it at the wick, but as I was telling Andy earlier, every time I see an entry like this and we have this nice wicking candle, it does give us a little bit of confidence because sellers took it down, but they couldn't keep it down for long. And that's what the wick is telling us.
And I love those. I love those type of entries. And as a matter of fact, if you look today at the top four risk off profit, let's see, you're going to see those are all contrarian buys, looking for a bounce. You're going against the grain on support, two on supports, and even that. I'm not sure what happened to that other one. I think it was called buyer stepping in. I thought was in there somewhere. Did you scroll down?
You talking about the box? Or are you talking about risk off?
Oh, there it is. Etsy. Yeah, buyer stepping in. I mean, 21 cents, not great, but still, look at that entry. You're buying on a pullback, you know, and I love when I see those. I mean, even if they don't work, I know my stop is probably going to be tighter than Holly's because I know I'm buying it against the grain on a pullback, and if the momentum is going to continue against me, you know, I'm more than likely going to not hold it all the way down to the stop.
Right, and once again, it's all about, you know, half the battle is making the entry and getting green in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we're in the money, you know, then it's our baby, it's our responsibility. We have to take care of it as best we can and preserve it and take a little bit of risk, lock in some capital, adjust your risk accordingly. It's just like Holly. The reason she has the ability to exit a loser or a winner early is she's going to protect that profit. That's why I always like to say she's not the best at exiting. Her strong suit, her superpower is the stat weighted entry. All right, so let's
answer Amy's question right here. She says, does Holly use a certain time frame on her chart, 5-minute chart, minute chart? And really it's all statistics basically, and I guess you could break it down into segments, but you know, it's all about, how's the best way to describe this, Jamie?
Well,
you're pretty good at this.
For example, the time stops right here, this column that I'm pointing to. These are the times that each one of these strategies was developed around. So they've all been geared towards these intraday hold times. So if we take a peek at, let's see here, let's just pull up, let me sort here, we'll go look at ZG now. Okay, so we're looking at 5-minute candles here, but even if I was looking at 15-minute candles, the same thing still happens in essence.
Exactly.
So Holly isn't looking and reading charts like we do.
Right.
She sees things from a completely different data perspective, right? So she's working with a statistical model and running the back test, re-optimizing the back test, rerunning everything, see if she improves or degrades the strategy. Now, what we choose to view for an intraday time frame is completely up to you. So it's really whatever makes you comfortable. I know that, you know, everybody's a little bit different. I like 5 minutes. Still too busy for some people. They like 15 minutes, where some people like 1 and 2 minute, which is way too busy for me. So it's really just whatever you feel comfortable with.
And Amy, the idea is, and I see your question, but whether it's a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart, it's the same areas of support, which is going back to yesterday, are still going to be seen on both the 5 and the 15-minute. So, yeah, she looks at things differently, but you know, you can it's just a matter of preference when it comes to, you know, what chart you want to look at.
Sure, and like, you know, for example, most people are used to using, say, just traditional metrics, you know, for looking for moves in a 30-minute period. A lot of people want that to correlate with a 30-minute candle, but you could watch 5-minute candles. It's just going to be the past 6 5-minute candles, right? So there's just a lot of chopping and dicing that you can do to help things make sense for you.
Right.
And I hope that means something.
Well, she says she understands and smiles, so I think she got it.
Perfect. All right, so let's see, I lost my place here. Okay, so once again, the ZG trade looks very similar to the ZN because they were
almost identical
by the same strategy, right? Once again, not getting long, not bottom ticking the wick, but a nice entry right here. And then, you know, a little traction right here. And you know what? Quite frankly, I like seeing this little hugging of the entry line once the entry's been made, because, you know, buyers and sellers are equal here. We just had this little rubber band pulled down. Buyers and sellers get equal. That's always indicative of a move, kind of like a doji pattern. So I really like seeing that after a Holly entry. And then we can see, once again, Holly held for the entire time. Takes her 29 cents, but once again, we've got 81 cents left over here to be had by once Holly gets out. And of course, we can see the dark shaded area. That's when Holly's getting out. So once again, chart looks very similar to Z. You take a little pullback. This one, if you were using, take your money on the first half, second half did not get stopped out. If you're just risking a flat on it, and then you get paid again. So, you know, two very good examples of just going, okay, risk on, risk off, or do a little bit of both. That's the easiest way to get used to it. And it's really the more prudent methodology too, because what if it ended up folding back over? You still made money on the trade, and that's the most important part. All right, now we're going to switch gears here because some of you may remember last week, I think it was, when Holly, and we had never seen this out of this model either, and I forget the symbol, but it's not important. It's all documented somewhere. And some of you probably remember what I'm about to say. Well, Holly calls out a long on this stock that was just pretty much as flat as a board on the intraday chart, not really doing a whole lot of volume, but tradable, enough volume to get some shares. And she calls a long. And then it just keeps on flatlining. And then about, I think, I don't know, Andy, maybe it was an hour, maybe it was 30 minutes, I can't remember off the top of my head. They halt the stock and gap it up. Turns out they're the new producer. They came out with a much, I think, cheaper EpiPen. Mm-hmm. Actually turned out to be based here in San Diego.
A lot of them are.
You just got, you know, did you get lucky? Well, it doesn't matter. You were in the trade at the behest of Holly, and you got paid if you got, you know, if you were in that position. Now, that happens very rarely. You know that as well as I do. And usually it's the other side. You know, you're long and they gap it down point. But this, you know, as our good buddy Steve likes to say, chance favors the prepared mind. In this case, your mind has been prepared because you're watching a highly advanced statistical model every day. And when you adhere to a trading pattern like that, then it's not going to happen all the time, but sometimes it is going to happen because you're doing the same thing over and over and you're understanding what's going on. Now, on to this trade here, ABBV. Now, this morning, in real time, as all of this was unfolding, I was sitting here like I always do. I've got my Holly up. I've got my Turbo Breaks family for finding these intraday range breaks. And Holly, right here. Holly's already shorting it. Oops, hold on. Sorry, wrong symbol. It's not LH. That we need to find ABBV. So give me a second here. I had LH queued up in that one. Uno momento, por favor. So that was 7 o'clock. Okay, so let me find this one. Getting there, getting there, getting there. Okay, here we go. Just had to scroll down a little bit, but I'm working with two monitors here. Okay, so you can see, first I click on Holly's. Look at the arrow. He's calling a short. But at the same time, I hear my window ding. Look, ABBV. What's it doing? Well, it's hitting a high. It's hitting a high and it's doing big time volume. Well, everybody knows that's familiar with this window. That's what we do. We look for these little run-ups or these consolidations where it's, you know, popping out and the volume is big. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. At first I thought Holly was long. I heard her say, and I'm like, all right, well, Holly and I are seeing the same thing on this one. This should be interesting, right? Because not only is Holly calling it, but we've got double confirmation. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait, that's not a long, that's a short. And it's the first time ever that I've had a signal like this in direct, you know, opposition to a high strong signal like we're getting from this turbo breaks window. So I'm like, okay, well, it's just taking a little run up, and now let's see what it does. Let's see how this trade plays out. And the beautiful thing about it is we had so much time in this little channel here. After this bar, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes of going, okay, well, Holly shorted it. And anybody that was watching today saw it was just out of the money slightly the whole time. And then guess what? Holly goes ahead and says, you know what, just not feeling right. The more time passes and this thing doesn't go down, I get, my window closes. So she exercises her reduced risk, takes that 8 cents. Okay. Now remember what I was saying about the guy in the office makes a bad trade, and you're like, well, it didn't go down for him. And you know what? This nice little channel here, I've seen so many of these webinars and heard Jamie and Andy and Steve talk about this so much that, if this little thing does coil up right here and then it comes up here and pops out, well, that could be an interesting move because that's usually what we're seeing out of Holly. Now, ABBV, big cap company, pharmaceuticals. Well, guess what was in play today is all these biotechs and pharmaceuticals, right? So that's another little thing that I had in the back of my mind. So the bottom line is this. You see Holly get into this trade. You start watching it. You see this nice little channel. And because you've seen this pattern so many times before, take the other side of it sometimes. You saw Holly short it. It didn't work. Okay, well, it's clearly identifiable. I could have went long right as it was busting here, used outside of here as my stop loss, and, keeping in mind that the biotechs were in play today. So the stats still made sense. Holly doesn't win every trade. We know that. But sometimes you can really key off of even one of her trades that doesn't work if the setup looks conducive. And boy, let me tell you, they don't look any more conducive than this little area right here. And of course, I already knew from watching this window, let's see, where did it disappear to here? I covered it up. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay. And then you have additional confirmation, right? So let's see. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There we go. All right. So by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this feed today, you know what I'm talking about. But if there's anybody out there that might be a little confused, I'm actually tweeting these plays out on my Twitter account. I'm QuantBot. So you can always go look at all the ones that were called today and see what they did. I invite you to do that. So everything's kind of, documented and time-stamped as these things are unfolding. Now, shortly after that, and I've got that ABBV on my radar because I know all the biotechs are ripping, well, look what else gets triggered right here. LH. Okay, another healthcare and social assistance stock. So once again, we've got the big volume busting out, this nice little range break with a very low risk threshold right here. And that's what we always go for, big risk to reward ratio. So what I like to do on a lot of these plays is just use a 15-minute, not including the entry bar, which was here. Past 15 minutes, take the lowest point, put your stop loss slightly outside of that guy. So you're risking this, and look what happens. There's even another setup up here that happens when you identify the buyer early. Another great entry opportunity right there, and continuation with high volume. So we could go through chart after chart after chart, but I just wanted to kind of bring that to everybody's attention. If we see Holly in a trade that's not working, and then we see a nice, beautiful setup to the other side, low risk, just happens to be in one of the sectors that's going bonkers today. See, all that information just fell into place. I didn't really have to go looking. Everything was given to me through Holly and this window here, along with a couple of other windows that I watch. And that's kind of the whole theme here is simplification, pay attention to the important things, statistics, volume, what's moving in the market, and, just a really good example of how things fell together today. So do we have any questions about what I just talked about?
Let's see. For the most part, I answered them. Yes, that little box you're seeing, guys, that beta version is not available for the public at this time. It's only a developmental version that we're using. But I'm expecting maybe another week or so. It will be on our website for you to download. But we always have to try it out ourselves first and work out a few kinks before we put it on our site.
Right, and Andy, I want to go ahead and pass it back to you because you've got a cool new toy to show everybody. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, all these windows that we're seeing, I'll drop that one in the chat window if anybody wants it. Right now, let me get this passed back over to you, Andy.
All right, perfect.
If I can. There we go. And let's see.
Oh, it blinked and went away. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect. You got it, Jamie? You see it?
I can.
All right. All right. So, guys, what I wanted to show you guys today, and like I said, I'm glad there's a lot of unsubscribers or people who have not yet subscribed in here. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. And I noticed Chris asked a question earlier today, and I'd like to go back and reread that. He said, based on today and yesterday's bio move, how would you find entry and exits? And first of all, it's a very good question, Chris, and I know you mentioned in here also that you're a newbie. And I want you to understand also that anytime you're new to something, and any business you go out and start, and if you're starting to trade, it's a new venture. It's a business, and you got to treat it like a business. And in any business, and I've opened like 4 of them, there's a learning curve, and this is no different. I mean, you have to learn, to trade. Now, a product like Trade Ideas is going to limit the amount of time you have to spend learning. I can tell you right now, when I first started trading, I didn't have anything. I had but the execution software, maybe simple little high-low ticker or something like that. But so, I'd be trading 4 stocks all day, and just, and it was more difficult.
Yeah,
now, with all the resources. I'm sorry?
You said that was a high-low ticker was state-of-the-art back then, buddy.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, that's all. And you didn't have any filters, man. It's just highs and lows. Just, anything can be coming through there. So, yeah, but with something like, with Trade Ideas, it's just amazing. It's going to definitely, reduce your learning curve by probably in half of what it took, somebody like me. But for guys, I understand it's just a lot of symbols right now, a lot of windows everywhere, and it looks overwhelming, but it's really not that complicated at all. And once you spend some time with it and you go through a couple of lessons with us and listen to the webinars and get in Barry's trading room, you're going to be amazed how quick you catch on. And it's very user friendly. And what I want to show today is just back in the day, the way I had to learn to trade was I was kind of a sector trade. I would find out what sectors as fast as I could, are strong. And then I would know, like I said, 4 or 5, sometimes 10 stocks in that sector. So I would know where to go and look for opportunity. We would have like a little, maybe a sector little watch list, that we had in our software, but that's about it. But I'm going to show you how you can use a sector watch list and also use your windows that you've created to find opportunities. So if you were watching the market today, you would know all the money was flowing in to solars, biotechs, and big pharma, healthcare. That's where everything was going today. And you would have seen this in about the first 15 or 20 minutes of the open. And that's why I said it's very important, especially the new traders, to sit on your hands, even for the first 30 minutes of the day, and learn, where the money is flowing, because that's where the opportunity is. And that's what our software can reveal to you. So for example, and I'm gonna show you this little scanner that I created that I'm going to share with the people. We always share everything, all of our scanners you see here, we share these with you. So you can have access to them as soon as you become a subscriber. That's no problem at all. And I have a new one today, a little top list that I just kind of went one step further with the sector analysis. And I'm going to show that after I get through doing this. But even if you just had the sector analysis, you would have noticed this morning that IYH, the healthcare, the biotech, it looks like the steel sector slipped up there toward the end. I'm not sure what happened there. That wasn't there early in the morning, but and solars were very strong today. So if you were being patient, now I set these back for the time of day. We can go and use historical date, and you can set, I'm on Central Time, so I set these back to 20 minutes after the market opened today. Okay, these are top lists. I set this one that time. You can see this one set at that time too. This is a multi-strategy window, and I just had to scroll down to the market open this morning to find the times. So if you're watching the sector analysis and you're watching your 3 alerts, you would have noticed something today in the first 20 minutes of the day. And let's just go through, and with our single stock window, you can also find out when these symbols are, what sector they're in. So this is our Trend Change Pro. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go over and explain what each, the filters and what each of these things are looking for. We'll have to save that for another webinar. But you would notice today that there were tons of pharmaceutical. You can keep an eye out here on my sector, my single stock window, ACOR. I don't think edit is I think it's no, it is. So right there, you got 3 pharmas, 4 pharmas, VRX, that's a biotech profile. So you're seeing a theme here develop. HCPN, another pharma. So this is a Trend Change Pro, which means basically that the stock is showing strength, showing strength as far as changing a trend on a daily pattern. Alpha Predator Pro, this is more of a momentum top list. But you can see here as well, what's your top one there? CSIQ. This is sorted from change of the close. That is a solar. Biotech, Big Pharma, VRX. So you're sitting here and that's all you're seeing is, biotechs and with some solars sprinkled in there. And obviously there's not quite as many solar companies as biotechs. This is an extreme volume alert. It has to be doing at least 10 times normal volume in the 1 minute time frame to come through this chart. Also has to be doing, I believe, 5 times normal volume in the 5 minute to come through with this. If you were watching this chart this morning, you would see, once again, Oracle had news. But what I'm going to do here is just kind of scroll this to the 9 o'clock time. So if you were just sitting on your hands and observing the market and seeing kind of where this money was flowing today, and it would be real easy to see if you're just watching a couple windows here. And then you go to, let's say, go to the 9 o'clock window. And CSIQ, you see it doing, even though it came through many times, it's still doing 15 times normal volume. Almost 7 times 5 minute volume. Let me just pull this out so I can show you. Why is that showing right there, Jamie? Am I seeing something? Is this jacked or what?
What are you referencing there?
What's that?
Are you just talking about the blue arrow?
CSIQ. Yeah.
What?
Let me change this time
I see
frame.
the screen, but I don't understand. What's the malfunction?
Okay, this is, well, it's 9:02 time, and why is it showing up at 1:15?
Because that's what time it was in that window. Was that a time-stamped alert window?
I'm not sure what's, let me see, let me check it on another one, VRX here. Okay, now that one's working. I don't know what's going on there with that CSIQ. You see what I'm saying? How this is early in the day, but when I click on CSIQ here, 902, it's showing up over here. It should be over here. So I'm not sure. And hey, getting back to why, this is why we like to play with these developmental versions. This one just came out a few days ago. So I will have to report this because this is not reporting right there. But you can see CSIQ went off at 1502 at 902 this morning. So plenty of room to still make plenty of money. Thing went all the way up to 1570. VRX went off at 1434. Nice little range break right there. You get the alert and it just runs pretty much all day. There's CSIQ again. SunPower. This one right here, guys, if you, and I would, unfortunately, I was doing a session today, but I would have loved to have been trading this morning when SunPower was given. When you have the move like you've seen in the last couple of days in CSIQ, 2 huge moves. I'm not going to pull up First Solar, but trust me, it's had a couple of good days moves. And you pulled up SunPower this morning, and you saw the daily, and it was pulled back to this level right here. Gosh, that is just dug in for like 5 days, then opened up, gave you an opportunity to get in and just ramped for basically $1 and what, 30 or 40 cents. But even if you caught it here at 833, at almost 45 minutes after the market opened, you still could have made about 70 cents in there. So what I'm showing you here, guys, is just don't make this more difficult than what it was. I mean, and this is why, I try to preach, jumping into stuff in the first 5 or 10 minutes and fighting some chart where no money is flowing into it. No, let our software work for you. Set up these alerts where you can kind of just sit back and see what's happening in the first 15, 20, even 30 minutes, before, you act, too quick. HCA, I think this is another, healthcare stock. So it was just full of them today. THC, another healthcare. It's been on our trend change lubricant for a while. CYH, it goes on and on. And I can't stress you how important it is, guys, to learn your sectors, to learn what's in there. It's easy to do. Just go in and Google them. I went in earlier today and Googled IYH just so you could see. And this happens to be Y charts. There's other ones that'll go in there. Scroll down. Top 10 holdings. Look at there. Jamie was talking about ABBV all morning. It's one of the top 10 holdings of the IYH. Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Celgene, saw it coming through several alerts today. So learn, Google these sectors, and try to get an idea. Even if you write them down on a piece of paper or on a Word doc so you can learn these sectors. Because once you learn these symbols and know what sector they are associated with, you can, I can't tell you how much it's going to benefit your trading. And getting back to Chris's question, that's why I say it takes time. There's a lot to learn. But our software will help you tremendously. And before we sign off, I do want to, for our subscribers, because what I was doing today, I was saying, well, I want to make this more intuitive and a little more interactive to where you can even get more from a sector analysis. So I started thinking, and I said, we have something in here that action is heating up. And I believe it is in the surge section. So, I can't go to there. I don't want to lose my thing. But anyway, I have it. It's in one.
People are asking for that window, so let's be sure and get you to drop that in the chat.
I will. But I'm going to show you what I did. We had. I can't go to my channel because I would lose the top list, and I don't want to have take time to save it. But let me show you what it looks like. File load from cloud, and let's see the action. The action is heating up. This is a window, and I believe it's in the surge channel. It might, but regardless, it's a popular top list, and it shows you stocks that are heating up in the 2-minute time frame. That's what it's sorted by. Of course, it has to be doing a certain amount of volume. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think 3 times normal. But anyway, you can sort by all these. You know, if you want to, you save this to your cloud and make it part of your default layout. But you can see it shows you, you know, stocks that are the biggest percentage mover in the last 2 minutes. So what I wanted to do is like, why don't I take this and make this into basically the sector is heating up top list. So what I did, I made a few changes because I want to make sure I see all my sectors in there. So I had to take out some filters, you know, the volume filters, and basically just strip it down to bare bones and use the channels as my, the columns as my sorting mechanism. So what I did is I took that and I created this sector is heating up. And let me show you what was happening this morning at 8:45. So we can always go to use historical date. Now wait a minute, I think I already did that. Let me, no wait, here we go, change in 2 minutes. There we go. So I sorted by change in 2 minutes. This is already on, I've already put it on 15 minutes after the market opened. So if you had this up and we're looking at it, you're like, wow, look at this. IYH is doing 23 times normal volume. IBB doing 5 times normal volume. These are actually ETFs that are trading that are doing this huge volume. This is 15 minutes after the market opened up. So you could use it. Look at the relative volume. 10 times normal volume after the first 15 minutes of the day. Man, that just speaks volume right there. It tells you right there, hey, money is flowing into these sectors. Even after the IBB run that it's had for the last 3 days, there was still tons of money coming into it. There's a reason for it, but we don't want to get into the fundamental reason. We just care what's happening, you know, technically, and how we can extract money from it. So, and I have a position in range. You can see it's, you know, 20-day range, position in year range. So you can see both of these are breaking out on pretty much all time frames. Now, hopefully you guys have my sector watch list, but I feel like I'm probably going to have to share that with you. So let me do this. What I'm going to do is drop my sector watch list into the chat window. So I need to go to symbol list, ETF sectors, edit list. You have to grab these and just paste them on a Word doc or something until you get this ready. So I'm going to put them in the chat window. The chat window is part of your GoToMeeting kind of, what do you call that? Whatever you call it.
GoToMeeting.
But hopefully you guys can see it. So I put it in the chat. So you're broken down into kind of sections into your GoToMeeting panel. So find that chat and kind of pop it out, and you can find all those sectors in there, and you just want to copy and paste them. And I hope you guys can find that. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this top list with you that I created. The volume is heating up. I'm going to put it back on live during market hours, so this will be live for you, and you won't be on, and then I'm going to save and share to cloud. Copy all, and I'm going to put this back in the same window, and I'm going to call it the sector is heating up. And dropping in it right now. So for those who are new to the product, what you're going to have to do, once you get this window, you are going to have to right-click inside the window, and you're going to have to configure. And you're going to have to go to symbol list. After you created that list, you're going to create, I call mine sector ETFs. You're going to create that list. If you haven't created it, all you have to do is do this. Create new list down in the bottom left, name it sector ETFs, hit OK, And I can't do that, I didn't name it. So I'm just going to name mine because I've already have one here. So I'm going to hit OK, and then a little Word doc's going to come in, and this is where you copy and paste that list I dropped into the chat window.
Hey, Andy?
I think, uh-huh.
Yeah, I was just looking at Joe's the last question here. He was wanting to go over the history window, but I'm not really sure which window he might be referring to.
The history. Can we get the history window as well? I don't know, but guys, that's what you drop this window and you hit OK, and then you basically have to just check this, and it will follow it, and it will follow only the following list. Make sure you check that, and that's how you get this top list. I think most people in here that have that are subscribed know how to do this already, so that's good. Now back to Joe's question. History extreme volume. Okay, I'll give you that one. It sure will, Joe. So this is my extreme volume. Now I want to put it back on real time. Okay. And it'll always pop up the most recent alerts for you, even though they happened way when the market was open. And let me share and save this with you as well. Let me go extreme volume pro. Now, for you guys who are subscribers, listen, like I said, we have a PDF with all of our favorite links on it. So don't hesitate to send an email to info@trade-ideas.com and request the cloud links, and we will send those to you. Okay, because they're great. They're great things to have. I'm telling you, because you'll have all of our favorite alerts, and there's many of them. But all right, guys, just remember, yes, keep an eye on that the sectors in the morning. Watch your alerts and keep an eye on the sectors. It's amazing. And if you're new, it will take a while, but it's like that three-dimensional puzzle that you stare at, on a wall for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden things start coming to you. It takes longer than 20 minutes, but you will be able to, absorb so much more, after a few months with the product, and really just, it does take time. It's a new business, and it frustrates me when people come in and think they're going to, have it down in a couple of weeks and be making a lot of money, and that's not the way to approach it. Okay, you have to approach it like a regular business. And unfortunately, when you start a new business, in most cases, you lose money for a few months, and this is the same way. The beautiful thing about this business is you can limit the amount of money you lose during your learning curve by just playing small size. And I've kind of gone over today, so with that said, Jamie, unless you have anything else, I'm going to bring Scott in and let him walk us out. And I think you guys hold on, because I think he's going to offer you guys a discount. So.
Yeah, I think I'm all good as well, Andy. So, Scott, if you're out there, we're ready for you.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty.
So just to make sure everyone knows, we do have a podcast that has subscribed to it. The promo code that's good for this month, well, let me just drop that in really quick. Well, don't have that ready, but you can use the code JuneBoom. You get an email follow-up tomorrow with a link to the replay of the webinar and the code as well. But JuneBoom, all caps, just like you see on your screen, takes 15% off your first month of your standard of Trade Ideas, either standard or premium, and both include a full hour of one-on-one training with Jamie or Andy or Steve. So thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. And we'll see you in the next webinar. Remember, there's a special session on Fridays now. 11 a.m. Pacific, starts at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for 3 hours. Do join us if you have any questions or want to learn. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Andy. Bye-bye.